the customers. Ensuring our customers understand what Federation is and its benefits. So that's a difficult task, meeting your customers and having those conversations, and getting them to understand what it is they're buying into. Roadshows help the conferences. We also did IDP installation and maintenance workshops. We know those. We're currently doing service provider setups, but they've got fewer nowadays. We'll get back into those. We also have our knowledge base and our how-to videos that are coming. We also like to keep our staff trained and up to date on what's happening in the Federation space. So that we ensure our staff have the knowledge to run and support the Federation. We have a tech team of about 6 or 7 folk, and every Friday afternoon we give them a half day just to do hacking time. So they can go and play and do whatever they like. That's what they're doing. A lot of work has been done on Kubernetes, so they've been learning how to drive the Kubernetes infrastructure. We have stand-ups regularly in our teams, where team members share with other team members about what they're doing and where they're at, and discuss the shit they're having. So making time for those sort of things is useful. And then our internal document repositories, our tech team again has a very significant, internal document repository about what they've been doing and how they've been doing it. Promises have chosen their own tool to store that repository on, and it's different from everybody else's tool, so there's a bit of an issue there. We're getting standard packs for our staff, so when a new person joins the Federation, here's what the Federation's all about. Here's a starter pack. Go have a run with them, stay and get a bit of an understanding of the Federation stuff. From team to team, so technical people will have their own starter pack about the development frameworks that they're using, or our comms people who are interested in who they're communicating with and what they're trying to talk about. We have on Federation members from the staff, so that's again what Federations are. It's an opportunity for them to ask me or other staff who are more experienced what Federation's all about. Attending events, so we just love we try to share around people going to various events when we can afford it. We've got our decision makers. Responsibility, and we'll eventually make the decision to join the Federation. They may have a budget that if you you'll have to dip into that budget to pay for it. So cycles or yearly cycles is useful. And they have the values to their organisation, so they have those particular needs. The general of the decision makers. Decision-making people. Organization's perspective. So this is the international plans on how we need this. It's a researcher or a head of research coming to the outside director and saying, hey, we want this because for advanced research opportunities that we'll get. Influencers tend to be well connected within their organizations. Technical folk, so connections, the technical details, architectures, security statuses, etc., all the technical mumbo jumbo that goes on with being a technical head. Very hard to contact or engage with, but I hope to engage with all of our technical folk across the sector this year in our roadshow that we're doing. And the hardest to get in contact with are our researchers. They don't really care about identity management as long as it works for them. They're issue credentials, they access services, and they'll count on the advocates for Federation if it meets their needs, but their needs may vary. So I think it's a very good position for those guys. But they don't make influences, so they can push for it at your universities. So your researchers, they want access to various publisher services and have their own connections to the decision makers. For decision makers, there's a bunch of information available through ReFeds, and I think Pal will talk about some of this stuff tomorrow. There's the proposition stuff, promoting federations, and a bunch of training material. There's some videos that are out there which help talk about what the federation is in 1 or 2 minutes. So there's a couple of links to the AF stuff about what the AF is and how the AF works. And as we found out this morning, everybody wants to know what this killer app is. So for me, it's the federation itself. It will be the killer app, and it's only for each person that comes into contact with it. So I've got a bit higher level than just having the app, because once you've got the app, well, what's the next killer app and what's the next one? Once you get the killer apps, well, the federation is that glue for the killer apps. All sorts of things, librarians, the researchers, professors, lecturers, etc. Students can find influences to your federation organisations. How they find out? It's accidentally used, or it will just appear in front of them one day. They'll say, and I'm using this institute, or log in with target, and they'll start to understand themselves that there's a federation out there. It's called a federation, I just know there's this organisation on the way through. How do they influence the decision-making process? And passwords, which what Brock was talking about this morning. Password that's controlled centrally. So let's just say, who do I talk to? Colleagues, work with us, and someone saying something others have that they don't have. So a student investigating what benefits certain benefits, so we can access certain certified through benefit, we're now investigating German Federation net. Students have to go through the whole process to get the Spotify. So they'll touch on, hey, what I've done myself, I'm very happy. German Federation, it was hard, I found it really difficult. That's what my units are need to be in this federation. Sometimes sport buses. It's a matter of nothing like I'm not trying. Well, this to be down the road, not mowing. I'm not wanting to have to go to the IT folk. Okay, about the connection, how it works, etc. Hosts, cloud-based IDP is the best way from next generation style IDPs. Which is a hub and spoke, can deal with commercial IDPs a bit better, but there's still some issues. We still maintain some documentation and how to use other technical guides for our service providers, but we've pretty much dropped most of our IDP documentation because we have a hosted solution. We'll start for IDP in Australia. We will continue on that because we still have a number of universities that want to do it themselves, so we keep maintaining that one. And they want to know about changes that may impact the delivery of their services. So many people, and you need to have quick communications with them. You don't really have much time to talk to these folks. They just in and out, and off you go. Generally don't know what the federation is or that it exists, unless something goes wrong. Their service and their organisation is not listed, so I'll want to know why. And how long it will take to fix the case that they're not there, and there's a whole process. And also how long it will take to get them in the federation. Because anything else for some reason. We'll generate the sources around the from Mass. IFIRExman cloud style, which is a very popular IF service. Which is I'm very happy when it was announced that they were going to decommission that service at the end of this year. There was a meeting. It's probably over 100 researchers and research support work trying to decide out of ARNET for deciding to take away that service. Okay, but they're looking for other solutions. I'm going to work out how to get their voice heard. Look, people that they need to talk to get the actions that they want. Probably we won't even identify. It's to get to the right people.
many active users were there in the cloud store right now?
I have no idea, but probably on the order of tens of thousands.
So there was about 1 gigabyte.
I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I would say there's a big chunk of storage. I think you can buy additional storage if you so choose. And organization can buy additional storage for their researchers. So, but not many of the universities took up that offer, which is why the whole thing's not really sustainable. Because everyone's like, oh, this is free data, yay. I'll continue using the free data. And then people were asked to pay for it. They said, oh, pay for it? I don't want to do that because it's their budget, their bottom line. So, yeah. So it's just too expensive to run. So over $1 million a year, as I said, to keep that service going. There's licensing fees for cloud or whatever they use at the back end. Researchers, these guys will tend to flock together under common areas of interest. We have biocommons groups, we have human and social sciences groups, we have astronomers, we have physicists, all sorts of groups that will sort of clump together and have their own communities. They build their own infrastructure that requires authentication, authorization. And let them build it themselves, let them plug into some national identity federation and make sure that they're willing to jump in and do the identity federation stuff, if you have one. We need to know who they are and how to have a say. So this period time identifying these various groups in Australia is probably over 3 months of work just understanding what our research communities are, what the requirements are, and then in place a plan to try and meet some of those requirements and have gone to the government to get some funding to make that happen. So it's been a long task, but we're getting there. We started the task by a thing called Making the Case. It's a campaign that we've been doing for ages. So it's on a little website. Let's just see if we can jump and have a look at that. It's very simple, very high level. Making the case for an increased trust and identity capacity. So this is us basically wanting to become part of the group who provides the increased services. There's some background about us, which I've talked about before. Something about the department and the areas that they've identified. And in this diagram, the green sections are us. So there's identifiers, which we deal with ORCIDs and other identifiers. And then the bottom corner here is identity and access management. So much as if this is a puzzle, but we're important to the puzzle. So it's essential that we be funded as part of the puzzle, and not have to keep going out and getting handouts from these other groups that are in the organisation, in the NCRIS group. We'll talk about how to enable connectedness, how to deliver system-wide trust and identity, and some stars and some other links. It's all good stuff. And it takes a long time to get this stuff together. Let's go back to. I think this site was put up a few years ago. And as people went on roadshows and other things, this was one of the key tools we used to engage with folks to say, you need to join this group. Well, you need to tell government they need to be part of this. Just a plot here somewhere. Okay, that's the end of that one. Any questions about making contact with your customers and engaging with your customers? It's a big task. It's not something technical people are generally comfortable with, but it's an essential part of running your federation. I'm not a specialist in our federation in Australia to actually do this work, to go and engage project managers, business analysts, and so forth. Not cheap, but we've worked a way to actually fund them. So, okay. Next session, which is where we're supposed to be at, session 3. See Monday. So operational considerations, skip that one. Right at the processes you need to put in place for your federation. A membership process. So actually do an organisation to want to join, what process do they go through? There must be something in place, some sort of form that you need to fill in, some sort of way to indicate that your organisation is willing to meet the rules of the federation. You need to understand what they're bringing to the federation to improve and enhance the federation. So identities generally enhance the federation because services love identities and the services love identities. And service is what you're really aiming for. Most services means for identity providers to actually access those services. You need to put that out about your federation rules. You need to have done some due diligence on the organisation to verify the status of that organisation. Is it a real organisation? I don't know if we've had anyone try to sort of fake their way into the AF. Had a few dodgy ones, but have you had anything like that, pal? Some dodgy organisation wanted to play in your federation?
So dodgy then more not the real organization, but an organization of organizations. Virtual organizations, some way or another. For example, the bioscience researchers in Sweden want to act as an organization, but they are formally not an organization.
Right. So they got no.
It's not coaching. It's more trying to. They have their community they want to.
Yep, and they got no legal stance to say on the roles and do all that sort of legal stuff. Yep. Yeah, a few of those, and those will follow the university to attach themselves to.
Ways the university they are attached to for funding reasons.
Yep. Technically capable of joining the federation. You'll soon work that out once they start asking you questions about how to join. And can they technically connect? Do they have compatible technologies? And for some, they need to pay the joining fee. So it's not going to be good for everybody. Some federations offer their services as bulk sort of DNC ending. Some offer their federations for free. But some like ourselves need to know that they can budget to join the federation. The requirements, what are the requirements for an organisation to join? That should be organised. So it basically says you're a research organisation or a university, a teaching school, or anything that the board decides is okay. So we've got that out in our rules. We've had to use that a couple of times. And that's what the next one is. Don't limit yourself to anything. Make sure you've got a way that any organisation can join your federation. It might need an approval process through your board or whatever, but it's worth having that out so that you can bring these things in. As an NREN, you may want to limit access to your federation to federation members. That's okay, but it is a bit of a limitation if you have some organisations that aren't part of your NREN but just want to use the federation to access stuff. So that's something you need to consider. So they might be small, a little research institute or something that doesn't need your networking stuff, doesn't need Eduroam, but would love to play in your federation to share and collaborate across services. So the AF rules state any tertiary education, any government, commercial, research institution, not-for-profit, government or commercial service organisation delivering products or services, and is that any other entity approved by the board from time to time. So what do they bring? You might have to have a meeting to discuss. Your identity providers bring users, their attributes, high levels of assurance, identity and credentials, IDP servers, federation capable. They also can bring services to share. Usually they'll start with just the IDP, and then realize, oh, we want services in the federation. Or as we've discussed earlier, we want our local services to be accessible through this IDP thing. Services, what type of service is it? What's its audience? Is it free or to pay for access to the service? And how do you connect? All useful questions you should be asking your service providers as they join. Oh, sorry. And you also need to make sure you're discussing the benefits of joining your federation with the members or the potential members. Agreeing to the rules, pretty much no exceptions. I've had a few organisations in the past come back and say, oh, we don't like these rules, don't like rule 16.4. Can we change that to something else that's to their benefit? And mostly we'll say no, because it's a pain to go through and change the rules, because if we change it for one, it needs to be changed for all. But we have on occasion identified some issues with our rules, and we'll then do a blanket change. Basically every 3 years we do a blanket change for our rules. New service providers have updates its rules every 3 years or thereabouts. Yeah, to change in the environment, security, adding new attributes, removing the old ones, fixing the grammar, typos, incorrect content, etc. A form signed by your responsible officer at your university that states that they will abide by the rules. And every year with our compliance processing, we get them to re-sign that they're compliant with the rules. And that's a real good opportunity to say, and by the way, the rules have changed. So you need to actually go back and have a look at what the changes are and make sure you're still happy with those rules. Due diligence, verify the organisations who they say they are. Use whatever registry is appropriate for your nation. What do we got? We've got some business number that organisations have, which we go and check that that's valid. DNS and WHOIS is not really, no longer reliable or complete, so you can use it, but it doesn't give you the whole story. A role for the Federation operator defined by the metadata registration practice statement. So that's something that's in your registration practice statement that the Federation operator needs to verify that stuff. Okay. That's the Australian business number, or we actually look up the Tertiary Education Quality and State Standards Agency to actually say, oh, this is a university, this is a whatever. Technical capability. Will they be a burden to your support team? Is their technical team competent? Does their technology integrate with your federation? There's some organisations that small, they don't have a technical team. They don't have an active directory. They don't have Azure. They don't have anything. So we need to come in and help them set up their stuff, provide them a hosted IDP, and train them up on how to use that effectively. But some organisations are all over this stuff and can provide their own IDP if they so choose. There are different flavors of SAML. Many services are also moving to OpenID Connect, so we provide a solution for that. And some services only provide IP-based authentication, but they're starting to disappear in a rapid rate. And do they want to test their integration first? So that's why we have a test federation, the AAF. It's up to you if you want to do a test federation. You might want to add services directly to your production federation. Just need to be careful that stuff isn't going to leak out through your test federation. In Australia, many of our organisations will want to use their corporate identity and access management systems to connect to the federation. Things like Azure, Okta, Ping Federate, etc. We avoid this. We tell them, no, you can't do that. It just doesn't work well. As these products don't work well in a multi-home federation. They can't really consume blobs of federation metadata, and there's other issues with them. They don't do any categories at all well. There's a whole raft of stuff. So these options, we provide a proxy solution. So we run a shibboleth IDP that then offloads the authentication to Azure or to Okta or to whatever. So from the user's perspective, they're just seeing the same login for everything. And I think that's what you guys are going with yours.
From the previous. So we did some update into the tutorial from the previous APAN55. So we already added the tutorial how you can go for this option. Basically, create a proxy and then the backend using Azure AD. So basically, just you can use the software stack that the tools that we have built to connect with even for example like Azure AD, right? the reason why we a bit pushy on the Azure AD because number one is it support MFA on demand. Unlike Google Workspace, you cannot do that. Azure AD, yes, you can do. Even the free version is good to go, except that you may have some challenges managing the user that can allow to access the connector to connect the individually. If you are the premium one, you can create like a group or rule so that they can automatically edit.
10,000, 5,000.
Yeah, you got the premium one, of course. Okay. So, but it meant for like a smaller institution, it's your choice. I mean, if you want to keep it free, then you do it manually. But if you want to be more convenient, more automated way, of course, you need to pay extra to Microsoft, something like that. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, technical capabilities again. What protocols and options does your federation support? Is it a SAML as a mesh with discovery, which the style that we're setting up here? Is it SAML point to point? Does it have an OpenID connector to it? Are you looking at non-web based, SSH certificate based, mobile ops, etc.? And do they want MFA and high levels of identity assurance? So a lot of this stuff is fairly advanced, and you'll get to it as you get to it. Initially, we'll just start with 0.1, a SAML as a mesh federation with a discovery service, and start to grow it out from there. Membership fees, I think I've talked about this enough, but it's always an interesting topic in the AAF. We regularly review our fees and they're tweaked. We need to pay our bills. We do get some funding from the government and free to use for subscribers. So not sure what that means. Free to use for subscribers. Oh, sorry, that's a different option. So yeah, we make all our subscribers pay, and there's different rates. I think it's too much, but my boss keeps telling me it's just right, so I lose. It makes it difficult to have those conversations with an organisation. They see all the benefits, they're keen to join, then we tell them it's going to cost them this much, and they go silent. They have to go and work out how they're going to get the money, put it into their yearly budgets, all that sort of stuff. And if you're going free for all subscribers, who's going to fund it? Who's going to pay for it to continue it forever? And if you included your NREN fees, will this impact smaller organisations just wanting to join the federation and not join your NREN as a fully functioning service? The technical. As a technician, fees are generally far from your current concerns. However, you should be aware of the funding model for your federation. You never know who you'll be talking to in the lift. You might actually get in the lift and talk to the CIO of some university. So having some sort of idea of what it is that how you're funded is good. If your customers are paying for access, they expect a quality service, and expectations of quality services will be escalated. They will ask if they're getting value for money from the federation. So needing to know what usage federation members are getting is useful. And because of various things, it caused a restructuring of the Tirikiri Federation. They couldn't fund themselves in the long term as a standalone organisation. So they joined the New Zealand Research Education Network, REANZ, and they're sort of powering along now. Sign them up. Need some form of legal membership form for them to sign. You need to record some contact information, keep that up to date. We try to capture the primary contact, who's basically the guy who signed the form, some technical contacts, some support contacts, and for us, some billing contacts, because we need to bill these people every year. We need to know how they're planning to connect. So there's a tick box saying, are you connecting as an IDP or as a service provider? Do you want a rapid IDP or whatever? Then we invoice them. So there's all processes that we have wrapping around this stuff. As I said, we have our yearly compliance, which is tied in with our yearly billing. We have a process to regularly check all our members continue to abide by the Federation rules, and that as I said earlier, gives us a big opportunity to change the rules and then inform the folk as part of compliance that the rules have changed. It also gives us a great opportunity to verify the contact information we have for each organisation. And it's also a great way to remind organisation heads that there is a federation and they're a member of it. Because if they're paying something every year, they need to know that they're a member. So, unfortunately, many federations don't charge, so there's a bit of a lost opportunity. Exiting the federation, sometimes we do have a organisation want to leave, but it's fairly infrequent. The reasons are generally they didn't understand what federation was all about and joined, and then a year later, nothing's happening, don't understand, why are we doing this? And they'll pull out. Some find it a bit too expensive for the amount of usage they're getting. Some didn't meet their expectations, federation. And the main one that we have for changing is organisational changes, takeovers, restructuring, dissolving of organisations. So when that happens, we need to ensure that the IDP and the SP that are assigned to or owned by that federation, that organisation, are archived as soon as possible. You don't want sort of stuff living in your federation which is not part of your federation.
Oh, you just take out from the metadata.
Our tools, they don't let us delete anything because it's silly, but I keep hassling about it. So we can only archive stuff. So it just goes off, and anything that's archived won't actually appear in the metadata, which has got its benefits because sometimes they'll come back. So, oh, we want to bring this back. So keep the history of it. Yeah, it's money for the history, and just so if they want to come back, we can bring them back fairly quickly.
AWS, even you stop it, they still charging for storage.
Yeah, that's covered. We haven't had any IDPs pull out. There's more services that pull out. Metadata. Let's skip through this. How are we going for time? It's 2:30 nearly. So these will be in the slides. You can have a look through. It's just about various aspects of running your federation and the metadata that needed to be generated and managed by the federation and distributed. And the issue we discussed earlier, federation grows in size, the metadata file grows. Larger these files are, the more resources, memory, etc. that IDPs need to consume them. And Edugain is a consolidation of all the federations, so it's going to be fairly big, and it can potentially crash your IDPs and services. So we're setting up a metadata query service as part of the infrastructures that Farhan and his team are providing. So it makes the metadata much more manageable by the IDPs. It only gets the stuff that's needed at the time. And other considerations, supporting your customers, integration with Edugain, I'll be talking about that tomorrow, keeping your services running, keeping your customers informed, reporting business intelligence, and service catalog. And that's an ongoing battle to get a service catalog of what's available. Nobody wants to stand up and say, oh, I'm going to run the service catalog for Edugain. Yep, there's a number out there, but so.
Catalog is very for example, when there's organization want to join. So this is usually when there's an organization would like to join. So we would like to request, okay, what application that do you want to integrate with your similar IDP or federation? And then we do a cross check with there was a post called met.reflect.org, but now it's no longer up, I guess. So you can still which one that already has some sort of integration with Identity Federation and which one is not. So usually we mention the one is not. Okay, so if it's already there, okay, we know that we okay, so start doing the integration. So surface is not longer up. So it's like googling, okay, is there any previous integration so far? Yeah. But we have database because sometimes when there's only trying to join and give the links we check, so we keep that record. So next time if there is another session asked, we know already the list. It's so common get advantage from becoming confused one because we have to talk with the service provider to integrate the service with our federation. So I'll call the one is like and the rest of the federation members.
That's the end of this slide deck and session. I've skipped a whole bunch of stuff about metadata, but as I said, you can go and learn about that stuff yourself. It's fairly straightforward. It's just a generation of a file with the appropriate stuff in it. Tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon, we've got a session called Unconference. Now, that's a session where you guys get to choose what you want to talk about. So in the session prior to that, we'll hopefully get a whiteboard, some post-it notes. Can we get some post-it notes for Wednesday? No. Post-it notes. I'll talk to Alana about it. So another big opportunity to put the you want to discuss in the open forum. Then we get to choose to implement ideas. The ones with the most space, the ones that we actually talk about. We've got about a half to do that sort of discussion, so we'll probably do it into 3 sessions. So there'll be 3 targeted discussions for the whole group about various things. I think we've all got one idea, which is about how to provide a file storage solution for a federation, which the Bangladesh guys are keen to work on. There'll probably be plenty of other ideas and thoughts about things to discuss. I'll go for afternoon tea, and if we could be back promptly at half an hour, is it? So that's 3 o'clock.
No, tea time is 3 o'clock.
Oh, my early, I jumped ahead too quick. So excited.
Very good.
Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Brian now. And just give him an extra half an hour today to work through the Eduroam setup. So this may or may not be of interest to some of you. Happy if you don't, are interested in Eduroam. You want to take leave. I'm going to go to see if we can check. Trying to find you on the screen. That's right. Oh. Where you going? The other thing I have is this bag. It's heavy. And it's full of
Hello.
shirts.
Have some.
So I'll lay them out on the table here, and you can come and grab as many as you like. Different colours.
What is that?
Shirts. Blue ones, black ones, and green ones. So there to take away, I'm not taking any home with me. I've been told if I bring any home that I'm not allowed to come home. We stack them in 3 different piles here. Whatever's left, I'll just take it as it is and let the general community just grab them. Different sizes, male and female versions.
Male and female versions.
Yeah, you can work it out.
Wonder how.
The button's on the other side.
Oh,
For the ladies.
so
So the black ones are for the first APAN we had was
Computer is reloading.
that's a tiny one. Them.
Yeah, so it's my size.
ah,
I used to be XL.
yeah, man.
This was for APAN50, which was in Hong Kong. That was a virtual one. The next one was for Australia. Green one's Pakistan event. It's also a virtual event. It doesn't matter if you have to open them to get the sizes. So let's go for it. Okay.
Even one, even okay. Or 7. No. Like that. Oh, it's too big. The green one, how is it? The green one. How does it look? What? The color is just too striking. That's okay. Huh? Go up that, and they will see me different. So, like, I think it's right over there.
You can come and get these at the break. At the break.
At the break. At the break. First, work first.
Work first.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting in 1 day beats. MS. But total ladies.
What's the difference between ladies and gentlemen?
The way the buttons go.
One button.
But really, 3 buttons there.
Uh-huh.
The ladies are one way, the men do another. I've no idea why. But
Biasanya arah masuk ke si button ini kan Pak, kita lihat.
Oh, iya tuh.
they're generally small as well.
Okay, so you haven't signed it.
Yeah, you need to sign there.
You will miss it out. There is some panel, water will be down.
What?
There is water will be flow down.
Where?
Just keep it safe.
Oh, okay. So here I'm going to talk about how to set up Eduroam for your federation infrastructure. So basically, we will make use the Federation as a service infrastructure that we have set up during the APAN55. But if you miss that workshop, actually, Barry has created a video how you can set up using the tools that C4 has created.
Do that because you've changed something.
Yeah, because some tools are setting up the Kubernetes cluster. So we change from RKE1 to RKE2, but the stars still remain the same. And also, we edit to add APAN56 support as well into the cluster. And we would like to also increase the security embed on the RKE2. Okay, so basically for this hands-on training, you will learn how to set up Eduroam IDP as a service, or to be short, you just call it Eduroam IDP for your federation infrastructure. And we will use the identity federation to authenticate the user. Also authenticated by we will create an Eduroam credential in form of the UPL certificate or so basically if you need to like phone, if you create inclusive of the credential as well in the form of the UPL certificate. Successful with the portal. So this Eduroam credential to access the Eduroam service. So in case if that's somebody who doesn't know what is Eduroam, so basically Eduroam is a Wi-Fi roaming service that users access the internet. The whole organization credential. Okay, so let's say Eduroam servers about archives, use credential from an organization to access the Wi-Fi network securely. Said securely because everything is based on the IEEE 802.1x standards. Okay, so I think there's another SSID library, which is Eduroam, all in the it just no help after. Okay, so from default you can visit eduroam.org for more detail. Okay. So we create this Eduroam IDPS service, so it always motivate us to this. Okay, so an Eduroam or it is the producer. But now we are not trivial plus. Okay, so that's how we are setting up for this NDP. So one of the issue when you are using username password to set up your Eduroam is the hashing format. Because for example, let's say if your users are still using version of Office, for example, before 8.1 some Surface Pack something, it always hash from on the instance of the SSL and the default for example, if you it using the cherry for the hashing algorithm, of course, you can add this so that they are using OpenELDR, and they have about, I don't know, about 60,000 users there. And sometimes they have to set the password in this hashing format, which is from secret and also NTLM. So it's also to reset the password so that it will be seen, and it's not easy to do that actually. And also, following from this server is something very I would say if first of all, if a number of items, for example, the manufacturer we can know with the open source tools, so then we have difficulties in maybe this as well. So it's not easy. If I get the line, for example, or doesn't have enough service or something that is in database or military. Okay, yeah, this is the truth. It's the life and community confidence because some of these education institutions are located in the rural location. So if you have even IT staff, it's the same chance being still after the IT as well. We use additive innovation to obtain the user credential. So, if you know what is the dynamics behind the MDP as a service, so it consists of two main components. Okay, so the first one is for the onboarding. So this is authentication, human identity federation, and also the user credential and also the file from users. This is one component. And what is the server itself? The authentication, the onboarding protocol. Okay, so it will authentication request to upstream drivers, which is the or machine learning organization. If we run from either organization, okay, the access the server they have to access the networks that are moving the access on just by press the drivers, sorry, organizer is authenticated and authorized to access the network. So there's a sponsor access the network. Okay. So let's have a look at the open fundamental. What is the rules behind it? Under the enabling project, as the online portal. So we call the single portal. It's a single identity for the authentication or the identity verification. We can also log all the of users or various students and staff that of the credential. So we can in organization can provide this account. Okay, so we different this account to the credential, for example. So we can limit that as well. Eduroam app, especially for iOS, Android, and Windows users. This is the credential and proof profile. So this is the configuration to install the Eduroam network. So I want to very elegant software that everyone from and so there are scanners. Okay, so that's a the package server not to be created in your instance necessarily. Okay, so if you say want to host just variables, you can do so. Or if you want to use NPS, you feel free to do so as long as it's about it's not and also the EOTS that can be used. The
So the certificate generated by the Let's Wi-Fi portal. Because the other step, yes, the that's why I'm not to ignore the directory. Yeah, we show the certificate from the user. Okay, so should I accept a certificate that issued by the onboarding policy only? Okay. Authentication setting like assigned to a different VLAN for different group of users or some authentication concurrently for one user and so on and so forth. Of this workshop. How the users can access the different IDP assessments. The end user can be on the, can access the items. So number one, add Eduroam queue. Okay, this is not the it's a configuration system tools. The Wi-Fi portal. Number one. Access now that's Wi-Fi portal. As a the option is better as long as you doesn't have to remember what is the URL for the Wi-Fi portal. Basically, the quality is transparent to the end user, so you don't have to Eduroam apps are the iPad or works, okay, format unfortunately. For the institution and institution, the organization, and it will ask them to level results in using password organization ID, and after that, continue process. Option here, you need to make sure that you need to have the access to Eduroam and create an account for our organization. Eduroam can is number one, I need to have the not necessarily a time and from about the account that it can create a organizational account. Okay. So if you don't have one, you have to contact the Eduroam option so that they can create Eduroam for the protection of relation of data that have to get
DNS model. This model is user have a dedicated certificate which needs to accept by administrator. Or let's Wi-Fi portal automatically generated.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yep. Okay. So this is the flow. So for the first one, we can add the Eduroam apps. And we Eduroam apps, we will visit the Eduroam camp. Okay. And the Wi-Fi portal. And it will authenticate against single IDP. So the difference is not to log into the IDP. It will signal the last Wi-Fi portal. So that's Wi-Fi portal will generate the user credential, which is the certificate, and profitable get Eduroam app. So then we will configure for everything for the users. Okay, so this is for the step number one. Visit the last Wi-Fi portal and find the application with the single ID and then the last Wi-Fi portal. We will create the network portal or issue a credential. The user is not so they can access the figure. Okay.
Both way users needs to have get Eduroam app.
Option. If often it's not so have a portal, but is the network portal for iOS and device. Here is the config. You can only use the Eduroam apps or Eduroam app that's configured for the device. The one is only the certificate only. The files only. So you need to configure on the device and use that certificate access.
I think from the user perspective, then the option 2 is easier than
Actually,
for user.
not for user perspective. I mean, I can show us because my phone screen. Will go like not to because there's no possibility to install the config. The device actually. It also configures for programming in our device. If your device support APAN, you will configure. But some which are time the reference session.
More annoying option 1.
Actually, I know.
Type in your password twice.
Yeah, it's just a same password.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
But it's much better than to do option 2. Because if you're doing it from other profiles, it will just work. You install it and the user doesn't see that.
Okay, let's try to digest. Okay.
So for opening an Eduroam, type in a password if your
Okay.
yeah.
But this let's see. You're doing this service. You can also use them to
Yeah.
so I use an office.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, because it's a different authentication method.
And the problem with Eduroam Cat, do that. The second time you're asking your password, you should think you typed it incorrectly the first time. If you're not paying attention to what the prompt again, if you put it wrong, get prompted again.
Yeah, so yeah. So
Even with Eduroam Cat, legacy devices can support this. See that?
Yeah, not able to access opening of Eduroam. It's technically the length of the password. It's a problem. Okay. Actually, you can still watch the legacy and the market apps. But use the legacy and the cap. So basically, it's not the and then get config folder, and once the release one to configure it for that device. So actually, it's just which way that you want to go. Okay. Is basically what's on container and actually based on Kubernetes cluster. So we have like a standalone apps. Okay. So we create via Kubernetes and deploy and follow it is fine. Or just a VM, it won't work. Okay. So the package the deployment. So basically there are two packages. This iFIRExman, this Wi-Fi portal. It is the this Wi-Fi portal. And the second one is iFIRExman. Sorry, this should be small I. And I deployed this during the server. So I think it's because if you want to use your assistant radio server, or you want to have both. Okay. And packages were designed for a single realm. Okay, so basically, this is question one set. Okay, to make it easier, but actually you can have, we have a place like all of the server and portal, but we have another it's sort of like an admin topic. So that.
One question.
Yeah.
So when you're using the help package, can you use any of the container runtime engines like
Okay. Yeah.
or
So as this 3-hour support OCI and container interface, it can work. Using controller, no, you should focus on Docker as well. So it works with the RTE2, which is based on K3S and using container as the container runtime. It works on the others as the Kubernetes cluster follow the CNCI standard should be okay. Okay. So one of the use case in Malaysia, so we have a service called Eduroam service. So basically, it's a catch all and IDP as a service, which usually comes from Federation members organization. Connects the service to obtain Eduroam credential. Okay. So this is a service you also can visit by the website. Eduroam.my and the credential using the whole organization credential. In fact, I'm using this access Eduroam here. So using this. Okay. So operating systems, Mac OS or iOS, Android, MS Windows, and Linux. And supported by Citizen Federation and fair to use for Citizen Federation members. Okay, so and other operators, but we are supporting them and one of the technical team. Oh yeah, okay. So EFTLS as the authentication method. It is using the X501 certificate. After it's valid for 90 days. It means that after 90 days, the user will authenticate themselves. So, yeah.
Expired a week before my phone actually told me this time. Yeah. So previous editions of it didn't tell you; it just expired. But now it tells you, which is very useful.
Yeah.
I wasn't on a plane to here because that's the problem. If I was traveling to here,
honestly, use a mobile config. Import directly the info will always expired, but different apps. additional benefit, it will tell you that hey, your certificate is about to expire, so better renew it before you travel. Yeah.
Is it possible to set the CRL days or expiration days for 5 years or from 15 years total?
Most
For 5
universities
years.
do it for like 13 months or something, right? So you've got students when they turn up, they get a profile, and when they enroll next year, they get another profile, right? Rather than they've got it long enough, that it will span their usual enrollment period, for instance, right? The reason you have it shorter is because it's easier to, it's easier to revoke and clean up the keys, just like Let's Encrypt does. The downside is you have to remember before you go traveling, check the expiry date, because if the expiry date, like my expiry date is today.
That's not very much unconscious or
Unconscious, because if you use it and it's not notified, they actually will tell you, hey, your certificate is going to expire. So renew. Yeah. Oh, okay. 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 So, if you identify the RAM at get.eduroam.my, this is the one. So that's the screenshot. So this is the portal. If you visit get.eduroam.my, you will see this portal. Get started, and you'll go to the discovery service. And you need to identify from which organization. This is the web service. We provide a web server from Switch. And after that, click themselves. So they will send this page. Structure of the original Wi-Fi portal. You can see this. Okay, so it's plain vanilla, but we want to find this. Okay, so okay for Android, how you can configure. This is using the VC and Tomcat. Okay, so and then for Apple device, how Linux, how Windows, how. Okay, so this is how we can configure the device. Okay, so let's skip the demo and the preparation for after the break. Thank you.